Good afternoon, North Penn School District families, students, faculty, and staff. The following presentation is a review of some changes that are going to happen with the secondary grading procedures, given our circumstances and the distance learning opportunities that are upon us for at least the next 2 weeks. First, my name is Dr. Todd Bauer, Assistant Superintendent in the North Penn School District. It has been my pleasure to work with many of our families over the last few years, and I'm excited to share this new grading procedure with all of you that I hope takes into consideration all the challenges that we're facing right now. I would be remiss if I didn't share that I hope all of you are happy and healthy at home, and you remain safe, and you're following the governor's recommendations and those of your healthcare professionals. So I'm going to try in 10 minutes or fewer to review these expectations with you and the guidelines, with the understanding that things might change. We are trying our best as the facts of our circumstances are changing, and we're trying to evolve and be agile in our thinking and our processes, but we do understand that things might change. This will not be perfect, but I'm confident that together we can get through it. So let's proceed with the guidelines and the expectations. I'm hopeful that this can be less than 10 minutes long. So thank you for your time. First, in developing this plan, we had several objectives. The primary objectives were to establish a fair and equitable grading system for everyone involved. That's difficult to do when you're talking about over 6,000 students and their families and all of their teachers and staff. But we want to try to take everything we can into consideration and make sure it is fair and equitable for all of our students. We want to give our students motivation to stay engaged and to learn. We don't know how long this is going to last, and we totally understand how serious the circumstances are, and we want to prepare our students and families and teachers and staff for both environments, whether we eventually do go back to school, which we all hope, of course, or we remain in a distance learning environment. We want to make sure that we provide our students motivation to learn and give them a reason to engage from home. Because we all believe, of course, that learning from now until the end of the school year is important. To not learn from March 12th, which was the day that we had the mandatory shutdown, all the way until September, is not good for anyone or anyone's future. And I can tell you as a parent, it wouldn't be good for my children either. So we want to provide that motivation for our students to learn, but we also need to maintain some flexibility. We need to understand that things are going to change, as I previously said, and we need to be ready to change with the circumstances. So the people that were involved in providing this plan and developing the plan, here are just some of them. Of course, the district leadership, Dr. Dietrich, in addition to the 2 assistant superintendents, our cabinet level administrators. Many of you know Dr. Waters, who is our director of curriculum and equity, our curriculum department, our special education supervisors, principals, department chairs, teachers, our technology department, our neighboring districts, and some universities were spoken with and kind of conferenced in, and we kind of collaborated together to develop a plan. So next I'm going to review what a traditional gradebook looks like. In a standard year-long classroom, the gradebook consists of 21% for each marking period and 16% for the final exam. In a semester course, a semester is half of a year. It's 40% for one marking period, 40% for the other marking period, and 20% for the final exam. Now, it's important to note that we were towards the end of the 3rd marking period. Actually, March 12th was the 30th day of the marking period, and a typical marking period is 45 days long. So we were 2/3 the way through the 3rd marking period when the mandatory shutdown happened. So this is what we're proposing. Given that we were only 2/3 of the way through the 3rd marking period, and given that the 4th marking period could potentially be very different for the long haul, while it's the next 2 weeks, we don't know how long ultimately it will last. We are proposing that in the digital learning environment, that it changes to 35 for the 1st marking period, 35 for the 2nd marking period, 20 for the 3rd, and 10 for the 4th. The semester courses would move to 75%, 25%. It's important to note that if we do return to school, things could change here. what we would end up doing is taking this portion that we are doing distance learning and incorporate that into the fourth marking period. And each marking period would be worth 25%, or sorry, 25%. Or if you take a look at the semester courses, each would be worth 50%. So this would be part of that. So for example, if this lasts for 25 of the remaining 50 days of the school year, then it would represent half of the fourth marking period grade. Okay. So we are going to transition away from a total point system into a daily point system. That does not mean that assignments and assessments can no longer exist. It doesn't mean that. We will not have final exams this year, regardless of whether or not we return to school. Let me repeat that for our students who are cheering right now. We will no longer have final exams during the 1920 school year, given the circumstances and all the changes that would have to happen to all of those exams that are streamlined across our departments. So there will be no final exams. But we are moving to a daily point system. Assignments and assessments will still exist, but they will help to inform the daily points. And the daily points will be composed of completion, engagement, and effort. So what this means is that teachers will give students a grade of 0, 1, or 2 on a given day. So students will get 2 points per day. And we need to shift our mindset away from the 65 or 85 or 95 point test or exam. Rather, we are getting a grade per day. And if it lasts for 50 days, then that's a total of 100 points. And students would get 2 points per day. The grade system would work like this. A 2 would represent that they demonstrated acquisition of skill or knowledge. There was a sincere effort put forth. They completed their assigned work, and they engaged with their teacher and classmates when appropriate. If there was a discussion board posted or an assignment posted, the students did what was asked of them and did it to the best of their ability. Our teachers have been working with your students for a long time now, and they know the quality of work that students can submit, and they know what they're capable of. So the question that's being asked is, did the student do what was asked? Did they try hard? And did they engage? If they have a class discussion via Google Classroom, did the students engage and do what they were asked to do at a reasonable level and try? They would obtain a score of 1 for the day if some tasks completed with limited success, if there was limited engagement in the assigned activities. I apologize for the typo there, for activity, and for an overall lack of effort. So if they tried but really didn't put forth their best effort, they would obtain a 1. And if the student does not attend, they do not engage, and they do not submit the assignments, they would get a 0 for the day. So let me go back a slide here and point out that assignments and assessments can still exist. Let's say that a biology teacher chooses to give a quiz. That's fine. That's great. The student can take that quiz and submit it. However, the teacher asks that they do so. And that will ultimately determine whether or not the student, it will help to inform whether or not the student gets a 2-point value for the day or a 1-point value, and of course a 0 if they don't do it. But if a student blows through the quiz and just puts answers quickly and hits submit, obviously the teacher will know that they didn't put forth their best effort, and they will not ultimately achieve a 2 for the day. Okay, so now I think this will bring us to a point where we have to kind of talk about special scenarios. So it is important to drive home to families and students that if they do what is asked and put forth an honest effort, they will earn points for the day. They'll get their 2 points. But it needs to be an honest effort. If the teacher asks, read this text and write a 1-page reflection, and the student doesn't submit 1 page, rather they submit a couple sentences, and it is not well done or well thought out, unfortunately, that student wouldn't get the 2 points for the day. So the work will help to inform that. Okay, so now we need to discuss students who might not be in a good position to pass a course. Like I said in the beginning, one of our objectives here was to motivate students to engage. So our students who currently have less than a 50% for the year in a course, okay, if the fourth marking period is only worth 10%, then they wouldn't have the opportunity mathematically to pass the class. But what we're saying now is, even if you're way below, if you're down in the 40s or 30s, if you were to put your best foot forward and try and obtain at least 75% of the points that are offered now in that fourth marking period point structure, that student can earn a passing grade or a grade of E. And in our grade setup, an E means that you're able to remediate it and earn the credit via summer school. Okay, if you were below a 50 in the traditional setup, you cannot go to summer school. You have to repeat the entire course. This lets our students go to summer school and get that credit and not start over. And then they could still be on track to graduate on time. So students, even if you have a 30 so far, we're saying that if this lasts the rest of the year, if you get in there and you do your work and you try and do what your teacher asks, you can earn an E, get to go to summer school, and ultimately be on track to graduate on time. Next, what if we have a student who has a grade in between 50 and a 64, right? So they're currently failing. What happens to them? If I currently have a 50 and I get a perfect score the rest of the year, I would not be able to get to a passing score for the year when the fourth marking period is only worth 10%. What we're saying here is students in this situation from a 50 to a 64% right now, if they do all their work and their grade does not get them up to a passing grade of a D or even a C, that ultimately that student will pass and will get the credit. We will override the grade if they get better than 75%. So a student who had a 60, or let's say a 50, and they do all their work and they get that 10%, maybe they end up with a 58%. We will end up giving them a passing grade of a D. They'll get a 65 and they will pass. So this is to motivate those students who are not in good shape right now. Well, there is still hope to pass the class and to be either on track to graduate, to move to the next grade, or to actually graduate this year if you're a senior. Okay, it is important to remind everyone that if we end up going back to school, I already had this in one slide, but I want to say it again. If we end up going back to school this year, okay, into the traditional sense, it's important to note that we would go back to the old setup with no final exams, where each marking period is worth 25%, but this portion, the distance learning portion, would make up the representative percentage of that marking period. Okay, so please understand that we are trying our best to evolve with these changing dynamics. Every day we get new information from the Department of Education or our local legislators about what we need to do and change. We're trying our best and we're really trying to keep you informed. People are working so hard to meet the needs of our learners. I can't tell you the number of emails and phone calls I've received from people in North Penn that said, how can I help? People want to help, people want to do the right thing, but it's challenging times for everyone and we need to be safe. Okay, so we will continue to revisit this policy and this process throughout the coming weeks, but this is going to be in place for the next 2 weeks. If we need to make dramatic changes, those will be communicated to you. I want to thank everybody for your time in engaging in this presentation. Sorry if it was a little longer than I expected, but thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. I hope you continue to stay safe and stay healthy. And please reach out to your teachers or your administrators or myself if you need help understanding this process. We believe it's right for everybody. We know it's a change and change is always difficult, but we'll get there together. I'm certain of it. So thank you, North Penn, and I hope you have a great day and you continue to stay healthy and stay safe. Take care.